So this is a true unboxing.
It's a true unboxing, and when we design fabric, we go through stages of getting samples on paper, samples in print, but we're looking at a few square inches. So it's a really exciting thing to see the actual bolts and the actual fabric.
So, oh, good morning, Katie. Okay, at least one person's with us.
Hello.
So before we open it up, I thought we'd sort of quickly tell you this line and this LTD series that we're going to have. It's going to be an annual line, and the idea was that we would have a palette that we're going to be working with that year. Traditionally, fabric lines are done with a focus fabric and companion prints and then background prints or something like that. And we've always found that modern quilt designs in particular work best with companion, like an ensemble collection.
Where there's not one theme print for the whole
Right.
thing, where every fabric is equally useful.
So we decided to start this LTD series, which will be annual, and we will have a palette that we're going to use in 2025 that will be different from the palette that we'll use in 2026. But the commonality will be that they will be somewhere between, they're not, they're in theory, they're tone on tones, but they're more interesting than blender prints.
And they often have really nice details, either details in the illustrations or a little bit of unexpected color in them. But they're a very versatile palette. So the idea is it'll be that year's palette that you can work with exclusively or mix it in really well with your existing stash.
But the idea is that a lot of times in fabric lines, these companion prints tend to not be very interesting as prints themselves. And so what we wanted to do was have a grouping of a palette of fabrics that are flexible enough to work with any type of design, but are still interesting enough on their own and are more interesting than typical tone on tone.
So the line is called 2025 LTD for limited, because this is going to be a limited series each year. And each year will be completely different prints. There will be a group,
and different colors as well.
Different palette. And there will be basically a group of these palettes and then one kind of fun, flamboyant twist to add to it.
And this year we decided, because so many of you had asked for yardage of the print that we use for our packaging, the big polka dotted print. So many people would ask. Well, they've seen it. It's on our website. Okay, so we have no idea what's in what. So we're just gonna start unboxing.
We have.
Where's the?
Oh, here's the knife.
Cutter? Okay. You want to do the honors?
And opening very carefully because there's fabric inside.
Yeah.
And
you want me to get this end?
It's just. Oh, here you go. Thank you. I have a suspicion because of the shape of the box. I think I know what's in this one.
Yes. These are the fat quarter bundles.
All right.
Okay, so they come in.
Oh my gosh.
Can you slide that over?
Oh, here's a single one that's not in there.
Okay, good. Usually they come in these big bags. So this is the fat quarter bundle. So do you want to take the?
Oh, here, let me unwrap it for you, so you can see it better without the shrink wrap.
So this is the dot print, and then these are all of the individual prints. And we'll go through, when we go through the bolts, we'll show you each individual.
We'll talk about the colors and the illustrations.
Yeah,
but
exactly. But that's the fat quarter.
It really is fun to see it all wrapped up in this.
And I'll tell you that what's kind of interesting about this is that these prints are all printed in Korea, and these are screen printed the way that really the best quality fabrics, I think, are printed. However, the dot print, because it's so big, that is printed digitally because the repeat is so big. So it's fantastic for either if you wanted to do a fun kids quilt or a background or
Now,
a backing fabric.
just to clarify,
Can I finish?
Okay.
Can I finish? But these digital prints have really become much higher quality in the last few years.
They're equal quality, and when she says it's big, it's still the standard 44-inch quilting fabric. It's just that the size of all, how many dots repeat is larger than you could do on screen printing.
That's exactly it.
And the other thing to know is, even though they're different printing methods, they're the same high quality gray goods. So when you feel them, they feel exactly the same.
But it was fun that they were able to get us to time screen prints and a digital print at the same time. That was really unusual.
Coordination is the hardest thing in general with any fabric design. Now Weeks is just going to reach over and open. We have too many boxes, so she's opening them separately.
Okay, so you want to take the plastic off?
I'm going to take the plastic off because no one wants to see reflections.
Yes.
All right, and I'm going to have a lot of plastic at the end of this. But...
So do you want to explain how the digital print, the reason that we did it digitally with the repeats?
A repeat is the area of the print that is repeated. If you think of a tile, fabric design is done in tiles. And imagine you go to Home Depot and you're looking at bathroom tiles. They might be 4 inches, or they might be 6 inches, or they might be a rectangular shape. With most printing, like you see in all the other prints, the tile is actually pretty small. It's going to be 1.5 to 4 inches generally. With this, the tile would be enormous. I'm trying to see if I can find the actual print. So you can see this magenta dot repeats there, but then it repeats so much larger in the other direction that the scale of the tile, there are two issues. The scale of the tile is a scale that doesn't work well with screen printing. And then with screen printing, you have a limit to the number of colors because each color is pre-mixed. So with screen printing, depending on where it's printed, you might be able to print in 12 colors or 15 or 16. But with something that's digital, you can have an infinite number of colors that you use that are mixed. So it's a combination of how many colors, what the proportion of the tile is, and how large it is overall. So it used to be that we were reluctant to do things digitally, but the quality is just phenomenal now. They don't bleed at all. They don't, basically, I can't really tell the difference with a couple minor exceptions. Like gray doesn't work.
Gray doesn't work.
Gray doesn't work well in digital, so no gray.
But the other thing that's great too, and I want to hold this up, can you see how crisply this is printed? And with all of these colors being so close to each other, we didn't want any to bleed into one another. So that was also one of the reasons for this particular print that we wanted to have it done digitally as opposed to...
So you get that little white gap between every...
It's a little bit easier to control. And Kay says, you must be so proud every time you see a fabric design in person. Most of the time it is. There have been situations where something has not been printed correctly and you've worked on it for 1.5 years and it's just devastating. But because we saw the strike-offs, which are like the little sample, the sample prints that we usually get about 8-inch by 8-inch square of them or so, we could see how incredibly these were printed, but we haven't seen them on bolts. No, the digital, none of these prints should bleed.
And this is a good question. With fabric,
would you repeat the question, because I just realized it's for YouTube.
So the question in the chat is, will digital prints bleed less than screen prints when washing? So well-printed fabric shouldn't bleed. However, we pre-wash everything just to be safe. With the lines that we've done with Benartex, I always put a color catcher in when we wash the first load just to make sure. And we simply haven't had any bleeding with the screen prints or the digital prints. Now, I will say that's not a universal truth. We buy fabric from lots of companies to use in our own quilts. Yeah. And we have absolutely had bleeding with some screen prints. I have not had bleeding with digital prints in the last 5 years. Before then, I did occasionally. The technology just wasn't there yet, but now it's fantastic.
And I want to add a couple of caveats to that. We have a YouTube tutorial on pre-washing, and it was done when Ivory Ultra liquid was still available. That's really, it's become very hard to find. I think P&G has discontinued it.
Dawn works.
We're using Dawn for the same purposes. So when we say that we haven't had any bleeding, this is how we're treating our fabric. We're using dishwashing soap, not dishwasher soap, and we're not using detergent. So we're using a tiny bit of a liquid dish soap, which is different from a detergent, and we're using it on cold water. So the people I know who have had bleeding from some of our fabrics have said that they've washed it on hot and they've washed it with detergent. Detergent is designed to get out stains, and it also gets out dye when it gets out stains.
Detergent's risky.
You don't ever want to wash any quilt with detergent if you can absolutely avoid it. Right. So, but that tutorial explains exactly how we do it. So the people who say that they want to wash on hot water to shrink it, that happens in the dryer. So use cold water for the inks to make sure that they don't.
And I want to address one more question in the chat before it goes away, which is, will the digital prints run when a long arm needle goes through it? And let me explain. By run, what I think is the question is asking is, some fabrics, if a needle pokes and pushes a thread through, it basically makes the thread run. It can displace the color if the ink is only on top. This is more common on long arm quilting because the thickness of a long arm needle is much greater than a domestic machine. We have not had that issue.
I've seen it though.
I have absolutely seen it. And I'll actually say I've seen it with screen printing and digital printing. It's not so much, the real issue is, what is the thickness of the ink or the dye? A well-printed fabric, whether it's well-printed digitally or screen printing, the dye fuses, it goes into the fibers. There are some lower quality fabrics on the market where it's more on the surface.
That tends to be the big box quality.
The big box,
Yeah, that tends to be one of the things you see in big box. Although I do know of other designers who have had that complaint with their fabric lines. And that is something that if you see it, please tell the manufacturer, because the manufacturer doesn't want to be.
No.
They're not paying for that.
No, but, and I know I saw a line that happened to that was digital. That was it was a bad situation, and I think they switched milk. They stopped using that supplier. So, I know that Benartex really cares about their suppliers. So if there's a problem, they'll address it. We obviously have not worked. We're just getting this right away.
Yeah.
But usually I can just feel fabric and instantly know, and this feels great. So I don't think there'll be any issue.
And also the dye is so dense on this. That we've seen samples, and
or not dense, but
thorough.
Yeah,
You know, I guess is
it's
the way to put it.
infused.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things is if you look at a fabric, and I'm trying to see if I can see this. Do you see on the back of this fabric, you can see there's dye? If you look at the back of a fabric and it looks totally white, that means that the inks or the dyes have not permeated the threads, and they're really just sitting on top, and that's generally a bad sign. That's going to be a sign that you're going to have a lot of weird stuff happening when you poke and on long arms. So, you know, I've overheard people say like, "Oh, you can see through a bit. That's not good." No, this isn't seeing through. It's seeing that the dye has permeated the cotton.
Yeah. Okay. So how much Dawn do you use? You know, if it depends on how much we're washing. You know, it's in volume, but I would say.
And we use a front loader, which makes a big difference.
Yeah. So a front loader typically uses what, 1/8 of the amount of detergent. But you really don't need much at all because you're not removing any dirt.
Half a tablespoon.
Yeah.
If that.
For the front loader, yeah, I would say a teaspoon. A teaspoon for like 10 yards is probably all I would use.
Because
less is more.
If you think about it, when you're pre-washing, you're not getting dirt out. You're getting any finishing agents. The whole point is just to flush it.
Yeah.
So you're not cleaning much. So just a little bit of that soap, and again, soap, not detergent, should do the trick.
So in order to get and the reason to wash it, you know, we're
going to get the fabric.
Details, yeah. But part of it is that there are agents, finishing agents that are used. Do you see how nice and flat this is? So there's like a chemical that's sprayed onto the fabric to get it so flat so it can be wound nicely and to make sure it doesn't mold as it's in a container ship getting here and in factory, in warehouses and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of chemicals that are not important for the dyes that are added to the fabric. In some cases, they're formaldehyde related. Do they use formaldehyde? On this side. I was under the impression that all fabric maybe that's not correct, but at least I know it used to be.
It used to be.
But anyway, they have some chemicals that are used to get the fabric flat, kind of like, I guess the way you would use a starch or something, to get it efficiently wound on a bolt and to make sure it doesn't mold in transit. And you want to get that stuff off before you start washing it.
Absolutely. Or before you start using it.
Before you start using it, yes.
So you want to talk about
right.
This is such
so
a fun. I can hold it up while you talk.
This is my favorite print of the line. I don't know whether you have a favorite, Bill, but this is called Bookshelf. And there was some concern that it is a stripe, but I know how many.
I love stripes.
Well, and I know how many book lovers we have among our customers. So
let's stripe it out.
yes.
Oh, they're upside down there.
Yes.
Let me turn them right side up.
So this is in 3 different
Can you hold
colorways.
this?
Yes.
Thank you. There we go.
So you can see the scale of it. It's a small stripe, but it's directional, but it's worth paying attention to. So
And I want to point out here that
book bags, any kind of fun thing.
at the beginning of this unboxing, we talked about screen printing, and the mill where this is done is in Korea, and they do a phenomenal job with the registration. And the registration is about
crazy.
Getting all the colors to match. Look at those little lines on the spines of the books. To get that accurate, there are a lot of fabric companies that honestly I wouldn't give this design to because I wouldn't think they'd print it well. But Benartex has really great relationships with the mills, and our our design contact in New York is so great. She'll take one look at a design like this and know exactly what needs to be done to get it just perfect.
But the other thing you can look at is look at those teeny tiny spaces between the books. Those were really critical to make sure they actually look like books and not a big blob. And so I also think this could be really fun for a flange on a quilt, or so anyway, that's the book. This is the houndstooth. This is a play on houndstooth. We did a kind of design within
I think
a
this
design.
might be my favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's very playful. You think of houndstooth as being such a traditional print, but we decided to put actually open it up so it's a little wrinkled.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. So you can see that we put a little 9-patch of colors within the houndstooth.
Here, I'll just
I think that's really going to be fun.
So from a distance and up close, the end part is always a little wrinkled.
Yeah. But it's a nice scale too.
Yeah, it's a very...
So this also comes in 3 colorways.
3 colorways, and we'll get to see them when they come out of the box.
So this is the diamond print. It's kind of a play. That was a play on houndstooth, and this is a play on gingham. And then instead of doing it as a square, we did it as a triangle.
So it's a really unusual
really
play on that gingham.
A little transparency action there too.
And this one is called Pink Lemonade, the colorway. And it's a very, very pale yellow. And then those overlapping pink stripes. So it's as Week said, a gingham is at 90 degrees. These are equilateral triangles, so you have 60 degrees using for your angles instead. Oh, this is the blossom print.
The blossom print.
Oh, that color is
so pretty. What a pretty color.
So this is really
so
interesting because I'm holding this up in front of the screen, and on our screen it goes a little blue. It's more of a lavender. It's a gorgeous lavender color. So everyone's
really
device
pretty.
is going to be a little different.
Ours is a little tiny bit bluer, but still, I mean,
it's close.
Yeah.
Everyone's device will be different. That's
but
always
also
a challenge.
the printing, the detail on
Oh my
is
gosh.
incredible.
Actually, let me hold this up.
Like the lines, look at that.
Do you see the branches?
I think it's not. You're too close.
I'm too close. There we
There
go.
you
Now
go.
it should be in focus. Yeah. If you look at the branches, they have a very faint, dark violet outline. That's a line that is like so perfectly registered. That means that they print one color on top of the other. And
this is what you get for $14 a yard.
Oh my gosh, that's so well printed.
And Donna, yes, Virginia Bluebell girl. You know, I grew up in Northern Virginia, and I was just thinking about that this morning because this is the time of year when I wish I could be at Bull Run doing the Bluebell walk. But anyway,
okay. Oh,
so this is the what is the colorway name of this one?
Oh, this is the green tea, the
Green
diamond
tea.
print.
That's right.
In green tea. So we need to get a little closer. There we go. Try not to
so you
make
can see
sick.
the greens there.
So you can really get that sense of transparency and the kind of nod to more traditional.
Hold that back, 'cause
okay.
this is the green in the houndstooth,
You have that?
and you can see.
This is shamrock. There we go. You hold that up.
Yeah, so you can see that we do like nice value differences, so that'll make it easier for you to not have them run into each other in a quilt. But
Yeah, when you're piecing, you can have a really clear edge.
absolutely.
And it's also,
look at the scale together; they look really fun.
so when we design these, we're looking at every color next to every other color, and also the scale, so that diamond works so beautifully with the scale of the houndstooth.
And actually, you want to get the pink lemonade, and you can see
okay.
it with the what is the pomegranate? That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see how these two look beautiful together.
And again, you get basically the triangle and the slightly square houndstooth. And another thing that's interesting, when you look at these together, none of these are actually the same colors. The colors in the print they're very harmonious, but we don't kind of eyedropper copy the colors.
No.
So that
It's all
there's more of a pink. There's a bit of yellow in here. It gives more richness. If you just take the exact same color and make it lighter or just make it darker, it can really flatten out a quilt. So they actually have some slight hue shifts.
But also I was going to say, can you hold up one of these?
Where's my third arm?
Like, no, look at it. Look at, these all work really well with the watercolors. They're darker than the watercolors, but you can see how beautifully.
Oh, they also look great with the earlier transparency fabrics.
The original transparency fabrics.
But
so yeah, they all really look beautiful together.
You know, our approach is always to design things that bring something new to your quilts, but also work with existing fabrics that we've designed or that you might have in your stash.
Okay, so this is my also in my this is my second favorite, or tied for first, I should say. I really wanted to do, because I know that we have a lot of knitters who are also quilters, and I wanted to do a yarn print.
Well, let me unwrap this.
Yeah, so it's not so wrinkled.
The outer one.
So we wanted to play with yarn and have, again, this is slightly directional, but you can actually see, the details of how beautifully it's printed, or you can see the actual fibers in the yarn.
Again, this is why.
So this is yarn in the violet.
The violet, and this is a true
crazy printing.
Truly great printing, because that outline, and again, when you look at it up close, you know, we can't get too close here, but the outline around the yarn that shows the ply of the yarn isn't black. It's kind of a dark green, actually, I think, in that print, which you wouldn't expect. It's, you know, they're a little, this
is the basket weave and raspberry. Such a pretty color.
Okay, there we go.
We tend to go with reds that are more, a little bit more on the purple side and a little less on the kind of tomato red.
A little more berry.
Yeah, so but I love this as a print in terms of the scale and the way it works with all of the others is a really nice print, because it's not directional, but it has some interest in it, which is...
And what you're going to see as we get different colorways coming out of the box, there are these tiny little dots, and those dots are a different color. In this case, they're violet, kind of violet on this raspberry color. So from a distance, it's going to read as a tone on tone, but up close you get those little hints of color. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorites, and I have the feeling this is not going to show up on camera.
Yeah, I think it's not going to show up on camera very well.
Let's see.
But for those of you who've loved espresso, that we have an espresso. Oh, it does show up. It's kind of a little. It's a little.
Kind of shows it.
Weave. Yeah, you can see
but it's
it.
like.
But this is the crosshatch and espresso.
So on camera,
it's darker.
It's darker in person. So from 2 feet,
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It has a very fine crosshatch in 2 different colors. I was preparing this for our website yesterday. It is impossible to photograph. It is. You've got to be there in person, because it's deep and rich, and on screen it either looks too light, too dark. You don't see the crosshatches. Like, the human eye is just so much more perceptive than any digital device.
But if you think of the color of like dark chocolate, it's kind of the color of dark chocolate.
And it's
going to be a really versatile. And can you show it? I'll hold this, and you can just bring one of those. The pink is fine. That one's fine.
This one's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can see these together look so pretty.
Why don't you show it with like the green too? So the other thing about this espresso that I think one of the reasons I love it, look at that, is it's desaturated. A lot of dark browns go very red, and they're hard to use with a wide range of hues. This is a very neutral brown, so you can use it with yellows, blues, greens, reds, purples.
Not orangey.
Yeah, it's not an orangey brown. It's just like, oh my gosh, they nailed that.
But I also wanted to show that what this does is it's it gives you the drama of black without being sterile. That's what we like about this.
So when we start unloading the boxes, I know there's more of this in there because I think we're going to go through a lot of it. It's so versatile.
We also wanted to have a toast color, and this is the toast. Can you show that next to it? So you can see these work really beautifully together as well.
And again,
actually,
let's get all three.
All three.
Here, I'll hold it. Let me.
Three neutrals with the line, all in this crosshatch pattern.
And the crosshatch, let me show you while she's undoing that. The crosshatch, I can't remember if there are 2 or 3 colors in the crosshatching, but it's very subtle. I think it's 2.
2.
Yes, I see it now.
Yeah.
So let me get the other.
Yeah, I'll hold these.
1, 2.
So all of these work with the entire line.
They work with the entire line, and I think for anytime you have a background print, these would be great. And you can see the vanilla version, and well, all of them are very neutral.
Yeah.
The vanilla, the toast, and the espresso are meant to work with almost any of the other fabrics beautifully.
And who doesn't love vanilla toast and espresso?
There you go. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Nancy says she's not normally a brown enthusiast, but chocolate is beautiful. It's funny because somebody commented the other day that that they thought that brown was controversial, and I thought, like, what? I thought brown was like the mainstay of the traditional quilting industry anyway.
Yeah, I think what I love about brown is it makes other colors so much more vibrant.
Yeah. Okay, so this is another, this is, I can't remember the color names really because it's been so long. Papaya, yes.
Yeah.
This is the papaya colorway of the yarn print. So fun. It's got a little bit of golden yarn on it.
But not gold metallic.
No, yes,
No,
yes.
we
Gold
don't
is in
use
the color.
metallics. It's just kind of
They're metallics.
right.
All right, hold on. We got one more box down here.
All right. She has to open the other box.
Yes. Oh, I'm holding
And there.
All right.
Let's see what's coming up next.
Oh, this is the magenta.
We've got more bookshelves.
Magenta bookshelf.
Okay.
Oh, I love this.
So this magenta print.
And that with the browns would be so beautiful.
Whoops. So with this, you can see again, there's that really rich cranberry field, the kind of yellow spines.
I wouldn't call it cranberry. I would call it magenta.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think cranberry is a little bit more blue.
Okay.
Welcome to our lives where we argue about
we don't
colors.
agree on color names ever. But
okay, this is the basket weave in Bluebird.
oh,
Yes,
and here's
I
a
love
good
this.
example where I was talking about those little dots earlier. If we look at it, in this case, they're much more apparent because they're kind of magenta dots on this very turquoise field. And then the little lines, those little lines share the same weight as the cross hatching in those neutral fabrics. Okay, so Bluebird, let me, I'm running out of room.
Yeah. This is the Blossom in Rose. I love this combination. It's a very pale green and a really fantastic pink. It looks a little bit more orange on screen, but in person, it's a perfect pink, and then there's a red twig that goes with it. It's so nice.
And I hope you can get your hands on some so you can actually see. When you show prints on screen, the fine lines always look a little heavier on screen than they are in real life.
They're very delicate.
And the delicate nature of this, it's been a while since we had a line with such fine.
Well, this is pretty fine.
But these didn't have any outlines.
That's true. That's true.
So
yeah.
By outlines, it's like when
Trapping
the
lines.
branches or the blossoms have a thin stroke around it. And this is about as thin as we've ever gone. It's dead on.
So there's a comment from Claire saying that the pattern and the crosshatch reminds them of the Vows quilt, and it absolutely is. It's kind of inspired. It's not a copy, but it's inspired by Japanese. There's a Japanese cross weave motif in traditional design that I thought if changed a bit and scaled down would work really beautifully with this. Because we're always looking for, we knew we wanted to have the books and the bookshelf, and that would be directional, and that the yarn would be directional. So we want to have things that can work in either direction. We're looking at scale, we're looking at directionality, we're looking at how we can make them multicolored and interesting, but still extremely versatile. So this is the basket weaving grass. Oh, such a pretty color.
I love that. This would be beautiful with that brown espresso. So the little dots on this one are a rich teal. Okay. And I'd show it with the brown, but the brown is now buried next to me under all these other bolts.
But you can actually show it with the magenta bookshelf. Even
really?
It looks
okay. Well, see, this is where
so vibrant together. It doesn't look like a bright line, but when the colors are so beautifully printed.
No, it's not bright. It's clear.
But it's clear, but it's also rich.
It is.
So this is one of my favorites. This is the yarn.
Oh, that's the pool.
Oh, so Deborah says she really loves the brown. I'm glad it's not controversial to you.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, wait a second, is brown like cilantro?
I can't wait to use it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the yarn in pool, and so pretty.
That's my favorite of the yarn prints.
I know,
it's very delicate.
Such a gorgeous color. Obviously, you can tell we love those blues and greens. Okay, we got a couple more.
I'm losing track. I think we're near the end here.
Yeah, 3 more.
Okay.
So this is the blossom in sky. Oh, so pretty.
They feel great too.
Yeah. Yes, vivid. It is
That's
vivid, Catherine. You're right, but it's not neon.
It's not. It's not.
They're livable colors, I think.
It's a word we strive for often. That livable.
Diane says, "Why do you do this to us?" Well, I'll tell you, Diane. Though this is our last line for a year. We're taking a season off from designing fabrics, so there won't be any new fabric from us until April of 2026.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be doing this to you.
Yeah, we're taking a little break.
Yeah. All right. Then there's the diamonds and cornflower. Hold on.
Oh, I'm seeing Claire's comment about when we posted the link, the Fat Quarter bundle. You thought they'd be more dark and subdued. It's just so hard. Fabric in real life is.
And that's why we want to do the unboxing too.
These are vibrant and cheerful without being loud.
I like, Nancy, that yes, the pink and green are not girly pink and green. They're really kind of grown up. They're very sophisticated. But
Especially
I love the clarity of this blue is so pretty. Not dirty at all, but it's also not neon,
Yeah, okay. I think
one more.
Trying to get clear colors is one of the most challenging things in fabric design. And I think, yep, they got it. Oh, that's clear.
Yes. Last one is the bookshelf in lake. Oh.
All right, I'll lift.
All right. It's got a pale green book outline, and it's got a beautiful, the colors are just so fantastic. Benartex did an awesome job.
Yeah, big thanks to Jessica and her team.
So, do we want to tell them what we're going to be doing with these?
Sure.
In addition to the kind of standard.
And I'm just going to do a quick wrap up because you just saw all the bolts, but once again, just seeing them all together here, where you don't even see the prints, you just get to see what amazing colors there are, and then that fizz print that is kind of the bonus of the line will make either great binding backing or just be used separately, however you want. So with this line, we have, there's a free to use pattern that will be on Benartex's site. I don't think we have that up or linked yet, but we'll have
get
that.
there.
But let's talk about June.
Well, no, we'll talk about everything is loaded. The inventory that we just unboxed, we had the invoice, so we added it to our website. So all of that is live now. And I think we have to talk about this. Oh, Lucky.
So look who's on the screen here. Let me see if I can get. As you know, oh my gosh.
Okay.
She's joining us.
Yes.
Sorry.
Mary, I'm glad you want to touch them. They really are. They feel incredible.
Do you pet the fabric or the dog?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, the dog is a no-shed dog, so that's good. But we've kind of got to talk a little bit, or I want to talk, I guess, about the tariff situation and how that's going to factor into fabric from us. I started to do a post earlier this week explaining that all of the fabric that we sell, from our fabric to the Superior Solids, would be having a tariff assigned to it of 25 to 32%. And that's going to be on inventory, not on inventory that's in the warehouse right now or in our studio right now, but it's coming with new fabric it will be assessed on that. Then that changed to 10%. So and there's a 90-day delay.
No one knows.
Well, based on the information we have now, any fabric that you buy in the next 90 days, you will not pay that extra 10% for. However, after that, my guess is pretty soon after that, the prices are going to go up. We're going to always keep the fabric as low as we possibly can. But bear in mind also that shipping prices, we offer free shipping, and we will keep that as low as we can, as an option for as long as we can, but it is a little bit hard to predict right now because it's been hour by hour change. But given that we knew that this was coming, we decided to do an event with LTD that would allow you to use it in conjunction with your stash. So in June, we'll be giving you more details later. We're going to do a 4-week non-mystery quilt along with LTD, where we'll share ahead of time what the finished quilt looks like, and you'll be able to use LTD with your stash or just your stash.
It's a very stash-friendly quilt along that will make great use, if you want, of 2025 LTD. We're going to be combining this line with our stash.
And we're trying to help you we're trying to have that balance between wanting you to enjoy our new fabric line, but also understanding that, all of these tariffs are going to be affecting us and raising prices on everything, and we want to be sensitive to that with you as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll show you the probably in the May 1st Quilts First live stream. We'll show you what that quilt, it's called Shoreline, and what that quilt will look like. And but if you want to get a fat quarter bundle to use in conjunction with your stash, or just for depending on the size you end up making, you could make it just with the fat quarter bundle. Depending on the size you choose to make. There will be size options.
And just to also touch base, we'll say a lot more in May, but it's going to be a different kind of quilt along. It will be in 4 installments, and it will be specifically teaching, some weeks will be teaching specific techniques, others will be design concepts. So it's going to be a very, very educational quilt along, and you'll see the quilt at the beginning. There will be a lot of options to customize it.
So Linda's asking what's LTD. LTD is the name of this fabric line. It's called 2025 LTD. I'll just
We're
kind
limited.
of recap. Yeah. We're going to, this is the first of several fabric lines that we're going to do annually that use a specific palette in smaller scale, slightly more monochromatic fabrics. That is the palette that we're going to use for this year. So think of it, you've seen like the color of the year. This is for us, this is going to be our palette of the year. And we're going to be using these, there isn't a focus fabric, it's an ensemble line where each one of them is interesting and each one of them is versatile, and they all play well with any fabrics you might also have in your stash. So the goal is for you to be able to count on having a palette of interesting fabrics that you don't have to get the fabric and then wonder, what am I going to use with this? They all will mix together with any other fabrics we've designed, but will also freshen up any fabrics you already have. So this is the 2025 LTD line, all these fabrics we've just shown. The vanilla.
Oh, question. Do we know when vanilla might be restocked? I believe I believe there are 2 bolts in the shipment we got yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So we're still waiting on white.
The white is the big
but
issue.
I believe, and check the website, the vanilla I may have entered it last night.
The eggplant, I know we entered.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's back in stock.
So that should, the vanilla, I don't think I did enter it yet. I think that has to get entered today. So by the end of the day, there should be vanilla in stock.
So, so we'll let you in. So in May, we'll show you the shoreline illustration. So you'll be able to see what we're going to be making in that quilt along. It's going to start in June, and we're going to be doing something called Summer Nights, which is where we're going to release have the pattern release be in the evening, because lots of people travel on the weekends and that kind of thing. So we're going to do Summer Nights releases, and we'll have live videos with that and everything. So
thanks for joining us for the unboxing. We've got work to do. We got to get this all organized, and we have a bunch of solids that are also in other boxes in the studio, so we'll put those up on the website today. Restock that inventory.
Can you show them the printout right there of the free to use? He's very distracted by Lucky, who's being a puppy right now.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the sample quilt.
So this is a free download on Benartex's site, and it uses the whole 2025 LTD line, or almost all of it, and then it uses the lightest and the darkest of those neutrals, the espresso and the vanilla, as the crosses.
So, and then the backing is the fizz print with the bubbles.
And then the toast is the binding.
And we will have this as kits, right?
Yes, we don't have it yet because we have to order the 10 by 10s.
Right.
This is actually made by 10 with 10 by 10 packs.
The pre-cuts, yeah.
The pre-cuts. You can also make it from yardage, but we have to order those and get those in stock.
Yeah, so that's coming up in the next month or so.
So we've got lots to do.
I hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to playing with you with this and learning some new things as well.
So take care, and
thanks for
joining us.